Whoa, what have we here? An actual decent free unit? Maybe. Stay tuned.
Let the lesson begin.
Hey guys, Akariss here, bringing you another Fire Emblem Heroes video. Today's video is going to feature the brand new Tempest Trials and more specifically the new Kid Innes and how exactly he fits into the whole Fire Emblem Heroes metagame as usual. This video will touch on Tempest Trials. I'm going to speculate on Innes' stats because we don't have a confirmation on that yet. So I'll tell you how I come to my speculation. And of course, I'll let you know how viable I feel he is, what his weapon entails, where he's best used, and overall impressions on all that. Now, this video doesn't have the official art because it's not released to us yet. So I'm going to be mostly using the art that is given to us. And we'll use that, and we have speculation on stats. And based on how accurate I am or not, it could also affect a lot of his matchups. However, I will confidently say that he's going to be pretty good regardless of maybe a few points here or there. So this is definitely fairly exciting because it's been a while since we've gotten a really high quality free unit like this. Like he's genuinely probably better than some of the stuff on the banner. And if you haven't seen the banner impressions, you should go watch that because that was just released right before this video. So link will be up there and in the description below. So yeah, guys, let's jump into it. So Tempest Trials is coming up in a few days, and with that comes, of course, Kid Innes. And we got War Dragon Seal and Attack Defense Form. I think the seals are okay. If you're more of a dragon user, the War Dragon Seal is actually incredibly good. If you're not, it doesn't really matter. And Attack Defense Form is okay, I guess. It's kind of like a mix between solos and bonds, so it's okay. Depends how you play. Like, for example, Attack Defense Form can actually be pretty good if, let's say, you're running like a save comp or something like that could be really good there because you'll get a lot of value out of it from squishing all your units together. Okay, and as a really important thing to remember, guys, is because we now pretty much have confirmation on Ephemeras and Tempest Trials units coming back, it could be a really good idea to wait couple months. I believe it's about half a year or so, and we'd probably get an Innes manual then, and maybe completing him at that time to plus 10 would save you about 500 grails from 2700 to 2200. So that is definitely something to consider and be patient about if your grail income is kind of not there, or maybe just, you know, you want to be a little bit more cautious and see how he unfolds. So we do get Innes. He does have a preference weapon, and he is a colorless bow, in contrast to George, who is a blue bow. Although I don't feel like the blue is necessarily a weakness, but colorless does have some good matchups, just because they're just neutral across the board, exception being Raven Tomes. We don't really see Raven Tomes too much enough to really for it to matter. On AR defense it could, because people play Raven Tomes into defense, but generally speaking, Arena or AR offense, you won't really have this problem. Generally colorless is good, more often than not. Okay, so his weapon is called Bow of Frelia. It's a slaying weapon. That's great. It has a really easy condition to meet, the 25% HP condition. He just gets attack and speed. Now, the secondary effect on here is what makes him incredible, and that is anytime his special goes off, he does an additional 7 damage. So think of like Lysithea here and her weapon, and how if you get a special off, you get extra damage. So that's already pretty good, but the deal breaker here is he takes off damage reduction skills, and that's everything. That's like Dimitri's, that's like Edelgard's, Bike, whatever. This is incredible for a lot of places in the game right now. AR defense is good, AR offense is good, you still run into that. And of course Arena, where some guys have just kind of taken over with their 80% damage reduction. I'm looking at you, Claude. So he's in a good place. You don't even need Deadeye, and Deadeye was like a really big restricting aspect of trying to counter Arena metagame. So this is really nice, the luxury. The fodder's whatever. I mean, we've seen Swift Sparrow like 100 times now, and Distant Guard is again on like 3 units, so whatever. At least you won't feel bad about merging him. So at that point, yeah. So what I want to really get into here is actually speculation on his stats, right? So we have, what I'm going to use as my basis is Marth and Small Marth. So this is probably the closest comparison I can make, because these guys were released a year ago, and they followed, not just Marth, but I'm going to use this as the clear example. They used a very clear example here where they moved from the OG Mart stat spread to the small Mart stat spread and transferred basically over his stats. Now we do know from the trailer video that the new Innis is having 43 HP. It's a little bit boosted because of the map, but 43 HP, so he is going to be much higher than his original form. We'll talk that in a moment. But basically, Marth went from like 152 BST to 172, so he got about 20 stats or so. I mean, it was a bit more actually, 157 maybe. I'm not sure. I don't remember the OG, but basically 3 additional stats across the board, with one of the stats probably getting a lot more stats, in this case it being attack, because his defense and res were already okay by modern standards. So this is how I'm basing my speculation for Innis to compare him, his original form versus his new kid form. So in this case, yeah, the HP is confirmed to be 43. That makes things a bit easier to kind of allocate. And his biggest weakness on his original form was basically his defense. So I feel like if they're putting more stats into it, they'll probably dump it into defense and maybe keep his res high as it used to be. That's still pretty unique among archers actually. So I totally expect his stat spread to be pretty much the same as his original form, but making him more modernized with a higher HP stat, more defense, and that would probably be his weakest stat, and then getting a really good attack and speed spread. Actually, by old Innis's days, attack 33 and 34 were actually pretty good back then, so he's pretty much going to be modernized here. But I don't expect it to be too crazy. I could be wrong here. I don't expect attack and speed to like just be like 40-40 or something, because I don't expect IS to give us like better Shinin for free. I don't see that. They would still want to keep the appeal of the 5-star premium Shinin, and going into the 40s would kind of invalidate or make Shinin much less appealing besides his preference weapon. So I'm going to be pretty conservative with this guess, but if he does have better than this, if he has 40 attack or 40 speed, that would only make him a lot better. So let's assume the scenario where they put a lot of stats into his HP and his defense, and that's about it, but making his attack and speed better. But 36-37 is already pretty good by Archer standards anyways, minus Shinin, of course, who was pretty good by his own standard, but he's harder to merge. So this is what I expect out of the brand new Innis, and that's already fairly good. And this is how I'm going to make my guesses and matchups for the most part. So first up, let's talk about sample builds. Now, I feel like AR offense could work for him, and this is a fairly cool thing to think about because he cuts through damage reduction. So a lot of teams that might focus on this, especially for frontliners, let's say covered by Flame, or maybe a Bravito guard using like Far Save, or you know, Bike on the front line. This actually makes him fairly unique in this regard, that he can cut through those without relying on like Deadeye. He can just use like a regular damage special. Now use whatever fodder you have at your discretion, though the most important things to take out of this would definitely be like Null Follow-Up and probably Mystic Boost with a damage special, because like you could use Noontime, but getting a little bit extra damage out of his bow is crucial, I feel, to making him really good. Now this is more enemy phase oriented, sturdy stance, Null Follow-Up, Pulse Smoke, whatnot. Maybe you have like Lancina behind, so you could upgrade to an even better special because he has Slaying, but this is more self-sufficient. You could player phase and then just leave him by himself, and you get Mystic Boost as that sort of healing. This is without any additional stats off of Mythics. It's just an icon, a visual for you, so it gets a lot better when you consider that allies and such and Mythics can increase his stats in different areas. For example, Mila giving him 5 defense off of her blessing would really help him in this case. So use what you have, but essentially you could use solos, you could run a healing special, you could run a different special, Valentina, you could even run Flame to give him damage reduction, whatever it might be. I feel like he could work on AR offense just fine, and you'd basically be patching up his defense. When it comes to IV choices, you're likely going to want attack, because attack will get more benefit out of his bow and special synergy. I haven't put that in here yet because we don't know if it's a super boon and we're still speculating. So for the time being, no IV recommendations for now. Next up is a more AR defense oriented place, and he definitely could work there. And the beauty of this is he doesn't necessarily have to be in an infantry pulse team. He can be in like a mixed team, maybe as a frontliner, maybe not, maybe as a rally trap, whatever might work for you. Essentially use like ARD attack speed, which we can get from codes if you're starting to save up for that. Wind sweep with likely his very good speed stat, times pulse and moonbow just to make him self-sufficient without relying on other people or such to pulse him, and then Swift Sparrow to synergize with his already attack and speed. This is going to cut through many common threats, and it's going to make playing into him extremely annoying or difficult. And finally, the last thing, of course, is the Arena build, and no doubt you could see this coming. Again, essentially work with what you have. Obviously, Sorcery Blade or Sturdy Stance may not be available. Maybe you have a null follow-up instead of low attack defense. Whatever works for you, that's what you got to focus on. Ruptured Sky or Blue Flame, I feel, are key to making this work because Aether is too slow. You're not going to be able to successfully set up against someone like Legendary Claude using Aether. Blue Flame, thankfully, is obtainable through the Part 1 codes off of Owain for, I believe, 2400. So that is actually probably worth it if you're going to commit to Innis. And as long as you're using Time's Pulse or potentially Infantry Breath, you'll be able to get that special off fairly easy. And yeah, again, the big takeaway from this is Claude has 80% damage reduction. Now we have a bow user who can just basically fire back at him on enemy phase and kill him without worrying about Fallen Star. And that is great because before this you basically needed Deadeye or just outspeed him, which wasn't always practical considering his speed stat. But since Innis is so interesting and it's been a while since we've seen such a great free hero, I wanted to take this a step further beyond speculation and potentially suggest to you guys or think about matchups in the legendary charts and how useful he really can be. Now, assuming that he's res based as opposed to defense based, this will impact some matchups more than others. For example, I put question marks on Julia, Lilina, and Celica because honestly the higher his res, the more likely he is to win that matchup. But if they end up going like defense based versus res, which is what Summer Innis had, by the way, then I could see him struggling a lot versus those three. So I could put a question mark on Julia, Lilina, and Celica because that is really uncertain. Now, if you build him with null follow-up, he'll have a great advantage versus Seliph and Edelgard, but otherwise would likely lose if he didn't have null follow-up. And then, you know, the big takeaway from this is obviously versus Claude and Dimitri, where I feel he has a huge advantage versus them because he can cut through their damage reduction. Now, Dimitri's is a special case because sometimes you could just outspeed him, and because you could outspeed him, you don't care about his speed damage reduction, but that's not always easy or practical in a lot of ways. So I feel like you don't care. You can like use literally Aether if you don't have that Ruptured Sky or Blue Flame and be slower than him and do a big chunk of damage to him. Now, that may not always work, but I feel like you'll be in a good spot. And of course, all the other matchups like Roy, Elwood, Crom, and Alm should be fairly easy for him as long as you're firing off those specials. So if you run into them that have guard, that's gonna suck. But essentially, you make sure you have your special ready. Now, the losing matchups for him for sure, and I could confidently say this regardless of how his stat spread looks, is actually going to be Legendary Corrin, which, yeah, that's surprising because Corrin, I would feel she wouldn't age well, but she does versus something like Innis. And Leaf. Now, Leaf is just I double and kill you. So that's simple as that. You need to one-shot Leaf or he will kill you back kind of scenario. And I don't feel like Innis will have that power. He might with Ruptured Sky if it's pre-charged, and he might just be able to one-shot Leaf. But if you're not running that particular build, it could be a lot harder. Now, the thing with Corrin, though, is his bow doesn't cut through specials that do damage reduction, and that is the case of Corrin. That is the one clause he had. So negating Fang works versus Innis, and therefore playing into Corrin, you will lose. If she has her special ready, he loses 100% of the time. There's no scenario where I could see that winning. Even with Ruptured Sky, which does additional damage versus dragons, it won't matter because negating Fang is essentially the anti-dragon effectiveness special, and therefore his worst matchup will easily be Corrin, with I feel like Leaf being very difficult and the other ones, the mages, being uncertain because it highly depends on his res stat. Overall, though, this is a good matchup spread versus the common legendaries, and I'm pretty confident to say he's a really good free unit, and you probably should use him if you don't have a bow. The fact that he'll probably score 175 means he's just a level below the 180 standard. So if you're not basically competing at the top with tier 21, you're in tier 20.5 or tier 20, 19, whatever, this is going to make your arena experience much easier for common threats. And stuff like Corrin, you'll probably find some other unit that can do the job pretty well. So I'm excited. It's delightful. I'm gonna probably wait on this investment, but there's a good chance I might do this, or George, because they're actually both pretty good in their own ways. George has been more supportive, while Innis is like pretty good against damage reduction, which is definitely all over the place lately. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of Innis. Are you excited about this? It's been a while since we got a good free one. This is a good one, and I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Give the video a thumbs up if you haven't already. That always supports and helps the channel quite a bit. Go watch out the impression reaction video right before this one, and sub if you haven't already. I'm sure there's at least 50% of you that aren't subbed, so go and click that button, because why aren't you clicking that button? I'll see you guys in the next one. Much love. Love you all. Peace.
It's over.